Easter Sunday, a time of celebration, family gatherings, pastel eggs, and the arrival of spring. But behind the smiles and the warmth lie stories that chill the soul. In the quiet corners of Easter traditions, something darker lurks. These are not tales of joy, but of terror. These are 3 very scary true Easter Sunday horror stories. It was Easter Sunday, 2016, in a small rural town in Pennsylvania. A young woman named Rachel had just moved back to her hometown after years away in the city. Her mother invited her to the Easter service at their local church, a place Rachel hadn't stepped into since she was a teenager. The church itself was ancient, built in the late 1800s. Its towering steeple and stained glass windows made it feel frozen in time. But what unnerved Rachel the most wasn't the age of the building. It was how empty it felt. Not empty in a physical sense. The pews were filled with people, but spiritually, emotionally, something was missing. She brushed it off as nerves. After the service, her mother wanted to stay for a while and chat with the pastor. Rachel agreed but wandered off to explore the building. Nostalgia crept in as she walked through the old Sunday school rooms, the choir loft, and finally, the basement. The basement had always creeped her out as a kid. It was cold, dim, and lined with old furniture and forgotten storage. But now it felt worse, like something was watching. She heard a creaking noise behind her. She turned. No one. Then she heard whispering, clear, soft. Female voices. Her skin prickled. She stepped back, heart pounding, eyes searching the shadows. The whispers grew louder, still indistinct but rhythmic, chant-like. Then suddenly, silence. The whispering stopped. But something else began. She heard footsteps. Heavy, dragging footsteps, not behind her, but above her, on the floor of the church, directly above the basement. But there shouldn't have been anyone up there. The service had ended. Everyone had left the sanctuary. Rachel sprinted up the stairs, heart racing. As she reached the main floor, she froze. The church was completely empty. Even her mother was gone. She stepped into the sanctuary, and that's when she saw it. A figure, sitting alone in the front pew, head bowed, unmoving. Rachel called out, "Mom?" No response. She stepped closer. That's when the figure looked up. It wasn't her mother. It was a woman with pitch-black eyes, skin ashen and sunken, her mouth curled into an unnatural grin. Rachel gasped, stepping back. The woman disappeared. In a blink, she was gone. Rachel screamed and ran out of the church. Outside, she found her mother talking to the pastor near the parking lot, like nothing had happened. She never went back to that church again. Years later, she learned something that made her blood run cold. That church had once hosted a cult in the early 1900s, one that performed rituals beneath the altar on Easter Sundays. The same basement where Rachel had heard the chanting. It was Easter Sunday, 2009, in a sleepy suburb of Oregon. A family named the Parkers hosted their annual Easter egg hunt in their massive backyard. They invited neighbors, friends, and co-workers. Over 30 children and adults gathered for the event. Among them was 8-year-old Olivia, a shy girl, always off in her own world. She clutched her pastel basket and wandered further into the trees at the back of the property, an area the kids were told not to enter. But Olivia was adventurous. And besides, she saw something. An egg, bright red, sitting alone on a tree stump just beyond the fence. It was strange. All the other eggs were pastel, pink, yellow, green. None were bright red. Curiosity overrode caution. She slipped through the fence and walked toward the egg. She picked it up. It was warm. She turned it in her hands and suddenly heard a voice. Do you want to find the others? Olivia looked up. A man stood just ahead of her in the woods, tall, wearing a faded bunny costume, one ear torn, the fabric stained. His face was hidden behind the rabbit mask, but his voice was deep, friendly, inviting. Come on, they're just through here. Olivia hesitated. Back at the house, her mother was calling her name, but Olivia stepped forward. Hours passed. The egg hunt was over. All the kids were accounted for except Olivia. Police were called. Volunteers scoured the woods. Dogs were brought in, but she was never found. For years, the case went cold. Until one day, Easter Sunday 2017, Olivia's younger brother, now a teenager, returned to the same woods. He had nightmares about that day, about the man in the bunny costume. Though he never saw him himself, he dreamed of Olivia holding a red egg, walking into the trees. He brought a camera and wandered through the woods, and then he saw it, a red egg sitting on the same stump. He raised his camera and snapped a photo, but when he lowered it, the egg was gone. Then he heard it, a whisper. Do you want to find the others? He ran. To this day, Olivia is still missing. But every Easter, someone reports seeing a red egg in those woods. And sometimes, a man in a rabbit suit standing just out of focus. Marcus squinted. The figure was wearing something. A robe? No, a costume. An Easter bunny suit. But it was wrong. The ears hung low and limp. The fur was dirty. The eyes were hollow, and it held something in its paw. A basket. The figure didn't move. It just stared. Marcus. Hey, you need help or something? No answer. He stepped back inside and locked the door. 5 minutes later, the doorbell rang again. He checked the peephole. The bunny was on the porch. Closer. He dialed 911. The dispatcher said police were on the way. Then, knocking. Soft. Rhythmic. He hid in the bathroom, door locked, heart racing. The knocking stopped. Then, silence.